Hey guys, welcome to the bonus video for the whole British guide. Sorry it's taken so long to get it out. I've got a bad cold and every time I try to make it I start coughing really bad. But I'm going to get through it this time. So, at least I hope. So, this is the fitting portion of the little mini Rupture guide I'm doing. I was thinking about doing a Tech 1 Cruiser guide as my next guide after the British guide. I'm unsure of that now. I may just spend some time updating other guides, or I may do a Svapul guide. I know it's overpowered, and I want it to be nerfed, but as long as it's kind of overpowered and it's a good ship to fly, maybe we should make the most of it. So that's kind of the things I'm thinking about. I may still do the cruisers. I want to try some new things. I want to talk to you about with this one here on the right. The one on the left that you see here, this is the Shield Nano fit that you'll see me use in the combat videos that follow this. So basically, it's a very, very vanilla Shield Nano kite. It's got all the same things that they can fit just about any ship to fly like this in some way. But it's a fitting theory or a method of fitting ships that I use quite a lot. So damage control, nano, gyro for damage, 2 tracking enhancers to push my fall off out farther so I can do more damage at range when I'm kiting. Micro warp drive, cold gas gets better. Capacitor stats, 2 large shield extenders for a shield buffer to get me 27,000 effective hit points with 53 passive recharge. Tech 2 warp disruptor, 4 425 autocannons, and a rapid light missile launcher. Tech 2. Tech 2 rig for EM resists, fill that hole, and then 2 extenders, Tech 1, nice and cheap. The whole ship together I think is around 30 mil, so it's a nice cheap ship that you can go out and get some practice kiting with. And that's really what it's for, is to go get some practice as a kite and get the hang of the keeping stuff at range and build up some of those instincts before you move on to something like the Shield Nano SFI or the Cinnable or something to that effect. For implants, I run 1% mostly. The only exception is I do run the hyperlink typically. Whenever I'm flying any kind of Shield Nano kite or fast ship, I like to run the hyperlink. It's expensive. When I first started using it, it was 18 million ISK. Now it's up to like 70 million ISK, I think. So it is expensive. You don't have to use it. It just gives you a little more speed. Over here for this other Rupture, this is one I haven't used yet, but my time flying this Nano one has made me really wish I had something more like this, a brawler setup. So what you could do is you've got a medium AAR, which gives you 256 rep, which is nice for the roughly minute. Let's look. Duration 7.6. Not minus times 68 seconds. So 68 seconds of reps at 256. You've got an 800 steel plate, which gives you almost 21,000 hit points. It's nice. Yeah, you've got that. Same implants. But you really don't need the hyperlink at all. So pretty good. It's pretty fast. You can catch stuff, scram and web it. I only use a small capacitor booster here for fitting reasons and because you could take a small and you could fit Navy 400s in it, and it's easily enough to keep your capacitor up with just one armor repair. So basically this ship has smaller guns. It uses shorter range ammo. It's got a scram and a web to hold stuff still. This ship here is going to be much better against, say, Svapuls and Confessors, the tactical destroyers. So that's what's good about this. It'll also be a little bit better against frigates than this one here. This one over here, you're going to see the tactics I use, but let's do a DPS graph. The basic tactic is this. All right, so Fed Navy Comet is charging you, right? You're running away aligned to, let's say, a planet, and Fed Navy Comet is charging you. Now, if he's coming straight at you, you can see how you're going to lock him somewhere short of 62 kilometers, your max lock range. And maybe you get him locked by 45. You're doing 153 DPS. A lot of that is actually from your drones, so it wouldn't be hitting him just yet. So let's take away the drones. We're at 51. So you can see how that's increasing. Now he may get smart and try to spiral a bit like that. So then it's taking him a little bit longer to get in, but you're still hitting him pretty good. As he gets into point range here, you can see your drones would probably be hitting him right about there. And now he's taking pretty good DPS. And that's just it's a frigate, so 261 DPS on a frigate. It's pretty nice. And as he continues to come in, it just continues to go up. And oftentimes you would overload that micro warp drive to keep him in this kill zone. Your kill zone is roughly 15k to 30k. That's your kill zone. So you try to keep him in that kill zone as long as possible by overloading your micro warp drive. You could also overload your guns and your point if you wanted to. And you could really put out some nice DPS as he crossed over that threshold into your kill zone and into a zone where he's a little bit harder to track and maybe gets a scram. But by the time he gets here, he should be dead. That's the basic concept. So there's the fit. I'll throw the fit in the comments below the video. This is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. So the next videos you're going to watch are going to be the combat videos where you'll see me actually using this setup. Alright, so now we're on to the combat videos. In these videos you're going to see me flying the shield kite or shield nano kite Rupture. This first one I want to show you is one where it's not so much about killing stuff as it is about surviving. So what happened, unfortunately I don't have the beginning of this video, but I jumped in and started to warp, and when I started to warp, all of a sudden a saber uncloaked and a falcon uncloaked. So when I jumped in, there was nothing on gate, no bubble, no nothing. I jumped in and then boom, they both uncloaked. The saber threw up a bubble to stop me from warping, so I started to burn off. I immediately decided that the best thing to do when there's a falcon is, if you can't neutralize the falcon, there's a couple choices you have. And some of the general practices of dealing with the falcon are, one, move away from the falcon. So if at all possible, try to get yourself more than 100k away from the falcon, but not more than 150. So between 100 and 150. So that way you're well into his ECM fall off. Therefore, he's going to start missing jams a lot more frequently. Two, you want to try to force him off the field if at all possible. So what you can see here is, see if I can pull up the drawing thing. Alright, so what you can see here is I'm right here, and I've got a saber right here on top of me. He's 13k away. He's not scramming me, which is interesting. Had he scrammed me, this would be a much different fight. He is webbing me. Well, maybe he is. Yeah, looks like there might be a scram right there. But I am jammed. Okay, so what has already happened is when they first showed up, as fast as I could, my first priority was to lock this falcon. And you can see my drones right here. I assigned my drones or engaged my drones on the falcon right there. So the idea is, one, you want to burn away from the falcon to make it less likely for his jams to land. The further away from him you get, the less likely you are to catch a jam cycle. The odds go down. And two, you want to get your drones on him, because most falcons, or not most, but a lot of falcons have zero tank. They rely 100% on their ECM to survive. So if you can get drones on a falcon, he can't ECM the drones. He can't escape the drones. He usually doesn't have the ability to kill the drones. So what he has to do is just sit there and continue to take damage from those drones until he has to warp off. And many times, just getting your drones on a falcon is all it takes. Is just get the drones on the falcon and wait about 30 seconds, and the falcon's going to warp away because he cannot tank any DPS. He's just not set up for it. Most falcons aren't. So those are the two things you can do to negate a falcon. So let's go ahead and start playing it. It's already set up. I've jumped in, drones on the falcon, burning away from the falcon. You can see I'm going to keep at 100 on that falcon, but then I'm probably going to double click to continue beyond that. Alright, so the saber got scared and backed off. That was a mistake. on his part. He should have stayed on top of me and kept fighting. Now I had stopped because I was scrammed in web, so I'm going to start moving. I'm going to overload that micro warp drive on the next cycle. I shift clicked it. Another Saber's come in now. So I want to get as far away from that Falcon as possible, so I'm burning, leaving my drones on him. I do not want to use those drones to get these Sabers. The drones would be more likely to kill the Sabers, but it's more important for me to get that Falcon off the field. So this Saber comes in, he gets another scram and web on me, slows me down again. But now I'm 88, 90 kilometers from this Falcon. So what that means is that he's missing jams. So for some reason, the Sabers just dropped their scram and web again. So I start the micro warp drive. I don't know why are they dropping it like that. It doesn't make any sense. They need to be attacking, but they don't seem to have any DPS either. Their DPS is really weak for a Saber. 2 Sabers, you would expect somewhere in the neighborhood of at least 600 DPS, I would think, for both of them together. About 300 each. Unless there's purely tackle. So now you can see, just pause it. What just happened there a second ago? The Falcon warped off. The Falcon was about 130, I think. Falcon warped off, and he's gone. He was missing his jams. He had finally gotten to the point where his jams just weren't working anymore. He's taking too much damage from the drones. He had to warp off, so that was a success. But unfortunately now, the Sabers have moved off, so they're apparently scared now. So they're both running, full speed, running away. So I'm going to turn back in, stop my overload of the micro warp drive so I don't burn it out, and see if I can burn back in and catch these guys. But in reality, this is pretty much over because they're just going to keep running and warp off. Having to mute my mic to cough. Still got this really bad cough. And it gets worse the more I talk. Now he's saying in local, impressive drone control range. Well, the drone control range isn't so much that I had impressive drone control range. What he doesn't understand, because I was able to continue applying DPS to that Falcon from over 100K with my drones, but I wasn't commanding those drones anymore. So the way drones work is, even though with skills and everything, I don't have any modules to extend my drones. With skills and everything else, my drone control is somewhere in the neighborhood of 60K, 58K, 56 kilometers. Something like that is my drone control range. And what that means is if a target was, say, 65 kilometers or more away, I cannot engage my drones on that target. You can always return your drones from any range, as long as you're on grid with them. And you can always, and your drones, once told to attack something, will continue to attack it. And there is a certain range where that stops, where they come back. And I'm not really sure where it is, but they will go. I've seen drones chase well over 100 kilometers. I think I've seen them chase several hundred kilometers before. So the drones will stay engaged once you engage them. So that's something he doesn't understand there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next video because there's nothing much left in that one. As you might have seen in the title, in this one, I'm doing what I really like to do in the ship, what I kind of designed, or the main purpose of this ship is I enjoy killing interceptors. So just jumping through Fade here. Jackdaw, it's not ideal. He's at range anyway. Problem with Jackdaw's problem is even more so with the Jackdaw. It's the same problem with I have with all the tactical destroyers. As for a destroyer, it's just way too much EHP, hit points. So I lock both of them. I'm burning off. Stilettos coming at me. get all my DPS on them. I'm overloading my micro warp drive. So I seen that they wanted to fight. I start burning off, and then, you know, like I say in the fitting video, is well, let's go ahead and do this. Is you want to burn as fast as you can away from the stiletto, which he's actually already on top of me. He's down here below my capacitor. But you would ideally want him to be back here at the start of the fight at least 30k, right? At 30 km. And that would have been a much better initiation of this fight, where I would have really landed some nice hits on him. As it is now, you can see I'm not really hitting him hard with my guns. I'm not hitting him at all. 425 cans miss, right? But my drones and my missiles will hit. Okay, and then as he gets scared, he starts to run away. That's a bad choice, because you just lost your transversal. Now, if he was smart, he would stay in close, right? The best thing he could do is stay close to me in orbit. So like an orbit of, I don't know, 5k, 10k would be ideal for him. So you can see these other targets, they don't seem to be getting involved. I'm not really sure why they're not fighting me. The Jackdaw didn't really chase. You can see now, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Let me go back a little bit. I want to see what caused all that damage to him. So 425's missed. Hobgoblin's missed. Miss. Hobgoblin's missed. Valkyrie missed. So I think it's the missiles that are hitting. It's the missiles that are really doing all the damage here. Because everything else seems to be missing, right? So I'm continuing to burn off. There's really nothing more to this. The only other note, I just killed him. The only other thing that you can really say about this is that you've got to stay moving. Now, if I'd have stayed on that gate over here, if I'd have stayed on that gate, right now I'd have a Tyrannus, a Crusader, and a Jackdaw attacking me. But because I made this a running fight, as they've all come to gate, they've landed way off me, and they're all outside of the fight. And they seem to be scared of me because they're not charging in, really. The only one charging in right now is the Crusader. If you watch, so I've looked at him. I should be shooting him. I don't know why I'm not. I was really slow to get DPS on him there. I should have turned in on him right there. As soon as you see him starting to back off, you turn in. But there's a claw too, so that's dangerous. I probably shouldn't turn in because of the claw. I'm getting tackled by the claw if I turn in. I've got to try to stagger them so that they come in at different times. The Crusader has run, so now I need to just switch DPS to the claw because he's the one charging in. Overload that micro warp drive as much as possible to try to continue moving forward. My missiles are reloading, which means I've got 60 seconds where really my best DPS against these interceptors isn't working. And this is the problem I had with this ship, is compared to, say, the Stabber Fleet issue, the guns just don't track as well as I would like. And the claw backs off, which saved me. Had he stayed on me, he would have probably held me down long enough to kill me. But actually, it looks like there's a second fight going on now. So that's why they've got PL is fighting against SMA interceptors now. Yeah, so that's it. The fight's over. I just warp off. So yeah, it's, I'm not thrilled. That's why I don't strongly recommend this ship. It's fun and you learn some of the kiting tactics, but the SFI is so much better because it has a tracking bonus. And instead of missing, your guns absolutely just destroy the interceptors on their way in. Let's go to the next one. It's the last video here. So this one, like you saw in the title, it's against the Saber. So what had happened is there was a small fleet, and I decided not to fight the fleet. So I was jumping away from them, and the Saber caught me in a bubble. So it's unexpected. So what I do is I say, okay, well, the best thing to do here is to just burn away, lead this saber off the gate. Hope that he chases me off gate because he's got a lot of buddies that are going to be following him in pretty shortly. So the best thing to do is to burn him off gate, get him separated, and apply DPS to him as we're moving away from the gate. Now, most sabers would be fast enough to charge in and get a point. They've got a Heck 8. I don't want to fight the Heck 8. That's going to be difficult, especially among all these other ships. So now, here's where things are a little bit tricky. The Heck 8 is very clearly charging straight at me. He is considerably faster than me, right? This is what I don't like. He's faster than me, and he has just as much EHP and almost as much a DPS output for a destroyer. Doesn't make sense. But, so he's coming at me. So right now, I either need to warp away if I want to survive, because he's going to catch me. No, it's too late. I'm pointed. So at this point, this fight is pretty much over, right? So I am unlikely to survive this fight at this point. There's so much stuff on the field. It's very quick. It's going to get in here pretty quick. There's very little chance of my survival. The best case scenario here is that I kill that saber before I die. And you got to realize there's going to be a lot of fights like this where your victory condition isn't survival. Your victory condition is killing something worth more than your ship before you die. Saber's worth 50, 60 mil. I'm only worth about 30 mil. Thankfully, the DPS output of these ships is very low, surprisingly low. I should be taking a lot more DPS from these guys. Sabers are usually shield tanks, so you get through the shield and they drop real fast. Now I'm looking for another target that I can kill quickly after the saber. The Thrasher is probably my best bet. No way I can kill the other two. The T3 destroyers are impossible. So I want to finish off this saber and then go to the Thrasher ideally. I'm trying to warp. Well, I'm getting my pod out, okay. And then I get the pod out. I guess I maybe had that hyperlink implant. And that's pretty much it for the Rupture. I recommend if you like flying like this, go to the SFI. It's so much better. Same fit pretty much. But it's an interesting ship. I'm going to try that Brawler fit some and see what happens. If I get some good videos, I'll send those to you as well. I also want to play around with some of the other fact chart, some of the other T1 cruisers. Like I want to try some stuff with maybe the Thorax, the Vexor, the Arbitrator, maybe the Mauler. The Mauler's kind of tricky. You can do some cool stuff with that. Maybe make it like a frigate killer Mauler with a really good strong tank. So that's a possibility. And then let me give you a little preview here. I am working on an update for the Frigate Pro Guide. And as you can see, it's all about Tech 1 frigates. So what I've been doing the last few nights is I have been flying, I haven't flown the Atron yet. I'm thinking about it. I've been flying the Tristan and the Incursus heavily. So what I've been doing is I've been flying this out in nullsec. Okay? And what I've been doing is I took on a gang of Imperial Navy slicers, 3 of them. And I killed one of the slicers, and they also had some other ships there. But I killed a slicer before I died. And so slicer's worth 20-something mil. I was worth 8 mil, I think, in the ship fully fitted. And then I also was able to, out in nullsec, I took on an Ares. But he was surrounded by a lot of buddies. So like there was an Ares, and then there was Saber and a couple more interceptors. Anyway, so it was pretty cool. I was able to kill the Ares before they were able to kill me. So again, another success. It was like a $24 million Ares, or million-isk Ares. So that was a success. And then I've also been in faction warfare, and I've tried, which one is it? This one. I've been trying this one, and it works fairly well. But what I think this one is going to work better here. I tried this without the AAR. I tried it with a Magstav instead. Did not work. Just not enough tank to survive long enough. But I had a really good fight and lost with this against a Tristan. So I'm going to go try a Tristan tonight. And I think it's going to work well. The Tristan, you can see, has a little bit better DPS. Plus, most of the DPS is from drones, which in a frigate fight, they don't have time to really kill. Not to mention you've got drone hit point bonus as well as a tracking bonus to your turrets, which, Tristan versus Incursus, the Incursus has got far better tank. Not so good capacitor because this has Nas. And then Nas would be sucking, if he did have any surplus, Nas would be sucking it away from him. So if you look at this, he does not have a tracking bonus. So while he has better hybrid, better turret DPS than me, he does not have that tracking bonus. So our ranges are similar. I can't beat him on range. But what I can do is I can out-track him. So what I noticed in the fight was that I was missing a lot. I was in the Incursus against a Tristan. I was missing a lot, even though my turrets did really good DPS, and I had them overloaded. I was missing him a lot. So if I'm in the Tristan, you're going to miss a heck of a lot less, and because you only have 2, look how much longer you can overload. He only overloads for about 1:20. You overload for 2:20 almost. So a whole minute longer, which makes a big difference. So that, plus you've got your drones that are kicking butt, 5 light drones. I'm curious how much the Tech 2 version of that explosive pump costs, because that'd be an easy way to buff that tank up a little bit, or even maybe one of those, Tech 2. I'll have to look into that. But so that's what I'm planning right now. I've been working on it. I'm going to do an update to the Frigate Pro guide, and it's going to include Tech 1 faction warfare PvP. I'm starting with the Galante. I'm training missile skills on my alt right now so I can do some Caldari ships. I'm going to do the Kestrel and the Merlin as well, but that'll be a second update later down the road. First, it's going to be Galante. So I'm going to do maybe a little bit more Comet stuff, but mostly it's going to be the Tristan and the Incursus. And it's going to be faction warfare Tristan and Incursus, and then also Nullsec Tristan and Incursus, where I show you how to take these ships out into Nullsec and get kills, because I've always, it's a lot less active in Nullsec most of the time compared to faction warfare, but I think the fights are more rewarding. They're funner fights, or more fun. Anyway, so that's what's planned. I'm going to do that, update the frigate guide, get some really good stuff in there. And then from there, I don't know if I'm going to do the Tech 1 Rupture guide, or not Rupture guide, Tech 1 Cruiser guide. I'll play around with some of the other cruisers and see if I think it's valuable. If not, then I think I'm going to be forced to go ahead and make a Spapal guide, because, I hate playing the overpowered card and flying something that I think is overpowered. But then again, if it's in the game, we might as well use it. We might as well get the benefit out of it. So I guess I'll make some Spapal guide that shows both a basic Spapal that you can take out solo, which I've done many times, and I've set up little bubble camps and just got tons of kills solo, or the more extreme, you can get a shield boosting Spapal that's sig tanked, so it's really small, and it's pretty much unstoppable. I mean, in 1 versus 1, there's few ships that can stop it. So, but that one requires links and implants and drugs. So that's a little bit more intensive. But I think it's good to show both the solo part with just basic ship, minimum implants, minimum drugs or no drugs, no links, and then also show the full ship, with what it can be with every possible advantage. So that's something I'm thinking about. If you have an idea or a preference, feel free to email me, let me know. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you again for buying the Brutix whole tanked Brutix guide. I really appreciate you supporting what I do. Without you, I wouldn't be able to make these guides. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.